We work under the sun every single day.
LA native Nick Valencia was a longtime CNN reporter, and he is now an independent journalist. He's been looking at immigration policy and the stories behind it. Tonight he shares what he found and why some of it may surprise you.
Nick joins us live right now, his first live T interview since leaving CNN. Nick, great to see you and welcome back to TV.
Alex and Marla, welcome back from maternity leave. So exciting. I know it's so hard to be a working journalist and a parent, but you're making it look effortless. So congratulations.
You did some really interesting reporting in Delano, which is in Northern California, in terms of a grape farm there.
North of Los Angeles. It is familiar to a lot of people because it's the home of this farmer workers movement that was launched by Cesar Chavez, the Si Se Puede movement. And when I arrived, I thought I was going to walk into a progressive bastion, an alcove in an otherwise red area. And what I found were essentially Republicans that voted Democrat. You know, these are Latinos under different circumstances that would vote for President Trump, or certainly a Republican candidate. They're deeply devout Catholics. You know, they're against abortion. They have trouble coming to sense with the trans issue. And they also don't understand why President Trump would target farm workers. We have heard the president say he's only going to go after the criminals. We've seen him go after the cooks as well. And we've seen him go after farms. They have, for the most part, been hands off in these areas, but they think it's only a matter of time. And so they're living in fear and going to work. You know, some individuals have been in these farms for 30 years. And if they ever got deported back to Mexico, it would be so unfamiliar to them. And it's really confusing to them that they're being targeted right now.
Another segment that's you've talked about, and this is our military veterans. You traveled to Tijuana and you spoke specifically to a Vietnam veteran who was deported many years ago. This is under Trump administration 1.0, right? So what did you learn from him, and what's the takeaway in your reporting here?
But I thought serving in the military would lead to sort of an automatic pathway to citizenship. I thought maybe you even had to be a citizen to serve in the military. I certainly didn't think that you could serve our country in wartime and then be deported, but that's exactly what is the circumstance for hundreds, if not thousands, of U.S. military veterans who are now living effectively in exile. You know, Rocky Hernandez is the individual you're talking about, Marla, who I profiled, and he didn't really get into what he was charged with, but he made it clear he was one of those quote-unquote criminals that President Trump was talking about. He says he served a 7-year of a 9-year sentence. When he was let out of prison, he was then deported. He says, though, that there are individuals that he's helped at this deported veterans office to get their paperwork back in order to be able to have a second chance at a pathway to citizenship. You know, one of my friends who voted for Trump, he was a little upset that he thought I buried the lead, that this man might have been charged with attempted murder. We were never able to verify it. But I think, you know, it wasn't the point of how violent his crime is. The point is that these individuals are asked to give everything to this country. They're asked to serve in wartime and to give everything that they have. And it's almost as though the moment the country finds them invaluable, they literally throw them onto the other side of the country or into another country.
And there's an entire house and infrastructure for deported veterans in TJ. I've been there myself many years ago, and this has been a problem and an issue for many years, not just a new issue here. Let's talk for a moment about you. Why are you doing this? You've been public about the fact that you were laid off from CNN, which has had a lot of, you know, challenges financially. How did you decide to do this, and how can people check out your work?
And so I didn't plan this, though. I did not plan to jump into this independent journalism space. I had a job, a short-term job, that put me out into the streets of Los Angeles just as this social justice movement was taking off. And I think things happen for us, not to us. And I think that journalism at its best ultimately is an act of service. And so I know a lot of us, we know you're not going to get paid a lot of money when you go into this, and it's not about that. You know, journalism is within me, and I think I use this, I know I use this as the ultimate act of service. And, you know, look, man, I am a third-generation Mexican-American, a whitewash, a pocho Mexicano, right, who got farmed out to the South and treated. It didn't matter my proximity to whiteness. It didn't save me. I still got asked why I spoke English so good out here, you know? And I realized that for someone like me, even my pedigree, going to the University of Successful Chicano, speaking English how I do, being dressed how I dress, it doesn't matter. I'm still treated like I just crossed the border in some rooms. And so if people treat me like this, what are they really treating the people who have no voice like? And so I'm just trying to meet the moment, Alex and Marla. I'm trying to step up and use the platform that I have. And so far, you know, the community is responding, and they're saying that, you know, they like what I'm doing. So if you like what you've heard so far, if you find anything that I've done so far interesting, these stories that we've covered, you could follow me at Nick Valencia News. This is all independent, viewer-funded, reader-funded, and this is how we're able to do it. Independent journalism matters, and so your support would be so effective in helping us keep telling these stories out there.
So people can subscribe to Nick Valencia Live on Substack. Did I get that right?
Watch too. We were just live promoting this, and let me give you your flowers. I want to say how excited I was to be on this show, because I take such tremendous pride in having an audience that is left, right, and center. People that don't watch the news, people that voted for Trump, they watch me, right? I really believe that I'm a fair journalist. And when I watch you guys, the metric of success for a lot of us is what you guys are doing out there with your show, what Alex is doing with The Issue Is. You have been able to create a platform and create news-making discussions in a time when people are turning away from television and going towards more towards their phones. But you have created must-watch television, and so I've got to give you your guys flowers. You know, not blowing smoke, but this is really important what you guys are doing too.
Well, you're effective at getting an invite back with that last part. So congrats.
It's amazing.
And by the way, when you say the University of Successful Chicanos, you're referencing the University of Southern California, of course, which I like to call the University of Successful Careers. But congratulations, Nick, and proud of your success. Way to go.